Hi and welcome to beautiful PHANG. I'm here in PHANG town. I'll tell you why in a moment. But later this week I'll have an announcement about the future of this particular daily program. But we do have a lot to report today. Oh, by the way, please subscribe to the channel. Hi, welcome to our Monday program. As I said, I'm out of town. I'm about an hour away from my usual recording position at Thailand Beach, here in PHANG town. And I'm here because my dog's having surgery today. I want to be here when she wakes up, make sure she sees a familiar face, and hopefully maybe tomorrow morning we can take her home. But I'm staying in a hotel here and happy to present the news to you. Big stories over the weekend, and it sort of all goes back to 2021. But let's go to Friday night and report it on the Cowside English Facebook page and a lot of follow through from them as well. It says police received a report from the Klong Prem prison, that's in Bangkok, that late last night, that's Friday night, Police Colonel Titisan Joe Utanapon, a prisoner serving a life sentence, committed suicide by hanging himself in his cell in Zone 5 of Klong Prem Central Prison. You may remember all the reporting at the time, and we'll go through some of the history back in 2021, and he was well known with the nickname Joe Ferrari. And the Minister of Justice expressed condolences to the relatives of the former Police Colonel Titisan Utanapon, a prisoner serving a life sentence, who committed suicide by hanging himself in his cell on Friday night. The Minister ordered the immediate establishment of fact-finding committee to investigate the incident, and he visited the Klong Prem Central Prison on March the 8th. And Titisan was convicted in a shocking case from 2021 when, as the superintendent of the Nakhon Sawan City Police Station, he placed, a number of plastic bags over the head of a drug suspect, causing the suspect's death. And that horrifying incident back in 2021, much discussed in Thai news at the time. But we go to a report nearly a year later when he was sentenced. And covered in Benar News, ex-Thai cop Joe Ferrari and 5 others sentenced to life for fatal interrogation. And the report says that 6 Thai policemen will spend the rest of their lives in prison for the in-custody death of a drug suspect whose brutal interrogation, handcuffed with plastic bags over his head, was caught on video last year. And the former police Colonel Titisan Utanapon, nicknamed Joe Ferrari, because of his fleet of expensive cars, headed the City District Police Station in Nakhon Sawan. He and 6 fellow officers were arrested back in 2021 after allegedly torturing the suspect while trying to extort a bribe of 2 million baht. And the court convicted the defendants, 6 of them, of premeditated killing by way of torture, the most severe charge, and sentenced them to death, according to Section 90 of the Penal Code. And the court sheet said because the defendants were helpful during the hearings and tried to save the life of the suspect by rushing him to hospital, the death sentence was commuted to life imprisonment. And the leaked video caused a public uproar because it showed police brutality against a suspect in detention. It showed the officers covering Jirapong's face with plastic bags and demanding he pay the bribe. And a follow-up just yesterday, this covered in PatiaMail.com, Prison Chief and Justice Minister addressed death of former Police Colonel Joe, and the director of the Klong Prem Central Prison has addressed the death of the former police colonel known as Joe Ferrari. Authorities confirmed that he did not have a psychiatric illness and had requested solitary confinement due to concerns over being assaulted by fellow inmates. And they denied any involvement of prison officers, stated that his death resulted from self-harm with no evidence of others entering the cell. Initial reports indicate Titisan committed suicide by hanging himself with a 30 to 40 centimetre towel tied to the cell door bars at chest height. He was found in a seated position with his legs stretched forward. The CCTV footage confirmed that no one entered or exited his cell except for staff delivering medication at scheduled times. And when officers called out to him and received no response, they discovered he'd passed away. A rather strange sentence. Officials are still investigating whether he died before or after attempting to hang himself. That aside, moving on, while strict security measures prevent contraband, the towel used in the incident was allowed as an exception due to the hot weather. And officials noted that Titisan was alone in a locked cell at bedtime when the incident occurred. We go to the Bangkok Post just quickly. Doubts cloud jailed cop's death. And relatives of Joe Ferrari say they do not believe he committed suicide by hanging himself in prison. They've asked to keep his body for a post-mortem examination to uncover the truth. The Department of Corrections issued a statement on Saturday confirming prison officials were notified of an inmate's death at 8:50 p.m. on Friday. The prisoner was found sitting against his cell door with bruised fingers and no pulse. A towel around his neck was tied to the cell door. So there will be an investigation, but with CCTV footage that now the relatives have seen, it seems fairly cut and dried what probably happened to Joe Ferrari, closing the door on one of the most appalling cases of police brutality in Thai history. Sadly, some more violent incidents over the weekend in the restive south, right down there on the border of Thailand and Malaysia, in an ongoing, more than 20-year, I suppose you could describe it almost as a civil war there on the border. The Bangkok Post reporting shock insurgent attacks kill, maim in Narethiwat, Pattani. And black-clad insurgents spread chaos in Sungai Kolok border city on Saturday night, throwing bombs and shooting at the district office, killing 2 defence volunteers, wounding 11 others, and detonating explosives besides a railway track and outside a mall. The security patrol was also attacked in adjoining Pattani province, leaving 1 ranger dead, wounding 2 local officials. Security officials have placed Narethiwat province on high alert for more violence. And a pickup fully loaded with armed men wearing black Islamic Dawa clothing stopped outside the Sungai Kolok district office at 7 p.m. This is on Saturday night. The attackers dismounted, threw bombs at the office building and sprayed bullets at security volunteers on duty, then sped off in the same vehicle they'd arrived in. They also detonated explosives hidden in a car and a motorcycle parked outside the district office compound. And the ISOC said several suspicious objects believed to be explosives were dropped on the road behind the vehicle as it fled, deterring pursuit. A vision there from Channel 3 of some of those incidents in Narethiwat and Pattani. As we go to Thai PBS World, and PM offers condolences as investigation intensified. The Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra offered her condolences, this is yesterday, to the families of those killed and injured in the insurgent attack. She's assigned the relevant authorities to handle compensation for the 2 defence volunteers who lost their lives and for those injured in the attack, which took place during the Islamic holy month of Ramadan. Just a bit more information. An initial investigation suggests the assailants used a walkie-talkie signal to detonate 100 kilograms of explosives concealed in gas tanks in a vehicle which had been parked inside the district office compound. They then fled on a motorcycle. And the article notes the latest attack in the region has drawn widespread condemnation, especially as it occurred during Ramadan. Thai netizens on all platforms have expressed their condolences to the families of 2 defence volunteers killed in the attack. Then in the nearby Pattani province, 3 paramilitary rangers were killed, 1 other was injured in an explosion near a road intersection, and this would have happened on Friday night. There just seems to be no end to this random violence in the Deep South, and there'll be plenty of condemnation, plenty of hand-wringing by government officials, but ultimately nothing ever seems to be done to reduce this level of violence. A bit of a good news story, well, at least a good outcome, and we go once again to Khao English. And the Royal Thai Navy's 2nd Naval Area rescued 9 crew members of the fishing boat Warsap Chanon by helicopter after it was struck and sunk by a merchant vessel in the Gulf of Thailand. This happened between Songkhla and Nakhon Si Thammarat. And the crew was found floating at noon on March the 9th, 10 hours after the 2 a.m. collision. and the survivors expressed profound relief, saying they felt reborn, while officials are investigating the merchant vessel that failed to stop after the collision. So the Vision posted on the Cowsod English Facebook page, those boys probably out to buy a lottery ticket after being saved. Now let's go to visas, and well, in this case we're going to Vietnam, as they've twiddled their visa knobs. And this reported in VN Express, and says Vietnam extends visa waiver for citizens of 12 countries until 2028. Now, Thailand currently has visa exemption for some 93 countries, and that's a 60-day visa waiver with the opportunity for a 30-day extension. That means you can arrive in Thailand without having to pre-apply for a visa. Let's find out what's happening in Vietnam. And the Vietnamese government's decided to extend visa exemption for citizens of 12 countries. So we've got South Korea, Japan, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, the UK, Russia, Denmark, Sweden, Norway and Finland. And the government's resolution says that citizens of these countries will be exempted from visas for a temporary stay period of 45 days from the date of entry, regardless of passport type and purpose of entry. And it'll be implemented from March the 15th, the Ides of March, till March the 14th in 2028. And besides the countries exempted from a visa, Vietnam grants 3-month tourist visas, that's 90 days, for citizens from all countries and territories. And it notes that Vietnam welcomed 17.6 million foreign visitors. This is last year, approaching the pre-pandemic figure of 18 million back in 2019. So Vietnam attracting around about half the number of tourists coming to Thailand, but certainly it's slowly gaining in popularity, and those new visa exemptions will certainly help. I think we're going to enter a period of visa wars around Southeast Asia as, everybody's struggling to try and attract tourists at the moment. And with that, thank you very much for watching today. I'm going to head straight back to the pet hospital after this, but thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.